Time has expired. Thank you.
Thank the gentleman. We now go to my friend and colleague from Cleveland, Ohio, Mr. Kucinich, for 5 minutes.
Thank you very much. I want to thank the panel and welcome Senator Coburn, who I had the privilege of serving with in the House. Senator, you published what you called a waste book, I think it was in December, where you listed what you believe are the 100 most wasteful and low-priority government spending programs in 2011. And in light of developments in this country with respect to oil and gas, where they're making record profits, do you think that these industries should continue to be rewarded with tax breaks and other benefits? The argument that there's been an argument that if you take away some of the breaks would affect gas prices, contradicted by this tremendous profits these companies are making. And the top 5 companies alone earned over $30 billion in profits in one quarter. And the American people are wondering, how can this be? And what about these breaks that they're getting? They certainly seem to qualify as a prosperous industry. And I would just like your comments on that.
Yeah. First of all, it's important to note that they get no tax credits. They get accelerated depreciation through intangible drilling costs. I think you have to look at it in 2 different groups. The very large oil companies, integrated, they could probably do fine without the intangible drilling costs. What happens with those programs is they actually pay the same amount of taxes. They just don't, it's delayed. So the cost to the government is the time value of money, which is 0 right now. So it really doesn't cost us anything. I would also note that their average income tax that they pay is 41%. That's the big 5. That's what they paid last year, which is a good source for us and far above what the average tax increase is. I would be amenable to working on that. I think tax reform is something that we need to do. I think we need to have a tax program that we quit picking winners and losers in.
The Department of Energy had a report called Cuts, Oil and Gas Company Tax Preferences. There were 8 proposals, one which has to do with repealing the expensing of the intangible drilling costs. Yeah. And it seems that there would be a considerable amount of money that would be recovered by the Federal Government if they repealed that particular benefit, which I think is—
Congressman, that is true in the short term, but that is not true over a 7-year period. There will be exactly the same amount of revenues going to the Federal Government.
Well, on this one, I'd be happy to provide you with what I'm looking at here. It says that from 2013 to 2022, a repeal the expensing of the intangible drilling cost would be worth about $13.9 billion. I'd be happy to show this to you to see if you—
And again, that's the Department of Energy's numbers. If you go and look at CBO's numbers or OMB's numbers or CRS's numbers, I think they'll show you something different than that. The fact is the average life of most of these wells is about— Well,
I wanted to make sure that I state—
I'll be happy to look at it.
Correctly. This is the President's budget that I'm citing from the Department of Energy, under the Department of Energy. So in the President's budget, it also says that repeal the percentage of depletion for oil and natural gas wells would be another $11.4 billion from, if you repealed it from the 2013 to 2022, and repealing the domestic manufacturing tax deduction for oil and natural gas companies over that same period of time would be worth $11.6 billion. And I wanted to point that out to you.
Okay, the third one, though, is you're going to treat oil and gas different than you do every other manufacturer if you decide to do that. So I don't have any problem with a philosophical difference. What I will tell you, over a 10-year period of time, if in fact, as an accountant, that's my first degree. As an accountant, if you amortize an expense over a period of time versus taking it all up front, the only thing that's going to happen is we will collect more dollars up front. I agree with you. Over the long period of time, we won't collect more dollars. But what you will do is for the lower capitalized oil and gas industry, the ones that are actually finding all the natural gas now, the smaller companies, what you'll do is you'll limit their capital availability and you'll limit our exploration for oil and gas in this.
Well, I can understand the sympathy that you have, and you represent the smaller developers very well. But my question is, back home in Cleveland, I have people who are looking at $4 or $5 a gallon for gas, and they're wondering why are these oil companies getting these breaks, and the biggest breaks go to the biggest companies.
Well, I think you would be better off addressing the speculation in the commodity markets rather than try to right now there's greater supply than there is demand for oil. What's happening? There's an international worry about Iran, which is a significant factor. We can eliminate speculation in this country, but you can't eliminate speculation worldwide. So the most important thing we can do if we want to address that $4 to $5 a gallon gasoline is make sure we have a domestic supply of energy, which we're capable of doing over the next 10 to 12 years in this country, that will make us impervious to the impression and vulnerability of Middle Eastern oil.
Mr. Chairman, my times have expired, but could I ask the witness, with unanimous consent, just ask the witness a follow-up question? I appreciate that. Thank you for the members of the panel here. Could you tell us how much the speculation in commodity markets, do you have any idea what kind of a factor that would be in driving up the price of oil domestically?
It would be a guess. It's an educated guess, but I would imagine we have $15 to $18 worth of speculation in the price of oil. You've seen oil go
per barrel, you're saying?
Per barrel, right now.
This is, Mr. Chairman, this, and I know Senator Coburn is one of the most fluent people on these issues, and I appreciate your presence here for that reason. This may be something that we want to look a little bit more closely at. I want to thank you for that, because $15 to $18 a barrel, and so would that be, what are we at right now? It's over $100 a barrel. We're like, pardon?
$109.
$109. So that's quite significant. That's something worth looking at. Mr. Chairman, thank you for your indulgence. Thank you, Senator Coburn.
I thank the gentleman. I'll quickly recognize myself for a number of things. And Senator, first of all, we've had a rash of your colleagues coming over here and not only giving testimony but taking questions. So please tell your colleagues it actually is a good thing. I'm just going to quickly go through some numbers. Number of hearings held by this committee, starting with Mr. Davis, 2003, 145. 2000. These happen to be the first year of each Congress.